What is up, everyone? Welcome to another episode of Drumroll, please. Zach and EJ Talk Sports. I'm EJ. This is Zach. We are here in the RMC filming room. Today, the studio is in full tilt, so you also, in addition to our awesome insight on everything from basketball, football, and baseball, you might also be hearing some very talented musicians chiming in and maybe backing us up with some musical nuggets. But before we kick into today's awesome program, which will cover the NBA Finals, we will be doing a little Mets and Yankees Major League Baseball comparison, and my favorite topic, fantasy football. My man Zach, we have completed our first round. Freshman baseball is in the books, one season. Why don't you recap the season for me, buddy?
So, because we were a freshman team, we had a lot of cancellations, EJ. So, we ended up only playing 8 games. Okay. We finished the season 2-6.
2-6.
Our final game got rained out after one pitch. And it was a trying season, but ready to get after it next year. Hopefully pick up a few more wins, the win column. And yeah, I'm excited.
So, how did you feel personally about your freshman baseball season and your statistically? I know you got a quick call up to do a little catching, a little bullpen action for the JV team. Mm-hmm. So that means some coaches have some eyes on you, but how do you feel about your season, and how do you plan on handling your off season?
I think it was a solid season for me. We didn't play enough games to really get into the flow, but I think near the end I was starting to really get in my groove after shaking off a bit of rust. So I think I'm good. I'm excited for next year. The off season, I'm really working on my mobility as a catcher, so I want to be very mobile. And right now I'm not the most mobile, so yeah.
All right. How about statistically speaking? What was your best offensive highlight of the year, would you say?
I can't pinpoint it, but I think I had one game where I had a 2-hit game.
Oh, nice.
Solid, because we didn't get many at-bats, because we didn't score many runs. But yeah, it was a good game. Yeah.
All right. Well, I'm excited to see what the future holds for you. I know you're a very hard worker, and, can't have enough good catchers out there, as many Major League Baseball teams would attest. So what do you say we dive in to something that you have been biting at the chomp to discuss, and that is your Celtics. Now, I give credit where credit's due. I broke your chops about Cooper Kupp and everything else, but you have been saying before this year's first tip-off in the NBA season that Tatum was an elite player and was going to show the world, and definitely show the NBA, that he is a top-level talent and somebody that can carry a team to a final. I give credit where credit is due. You called it. He has been playing lights out. I know that statistically you might have some different thoughts about that as far as how he's playing in the actual finals. But the Celtics, everything you said, here we are. They're sitting in the finals. Why don't you tell me your thoughts about their playoff victories up to get them to the finals and how this final series is looking to you?
So, I have a few players I want to shout out from the Celtics, really put them over the hump. The first person actually as a player, got to shout out Brad Stevens. He made the decision to, I don't know if he was fired, but I think he chose to leave coaching and became the GM. His first move, he brought in Al Horford, who's been huge. His next move, well, he had a few moves. He brought in like Josh Richardson, who we then traded. But then we traded him and Romeo Langford. We got Derek White, who's been massive. I was not a Derek White fan, but Derek White has come up huge, spark off the bench. Then obviously Tatum and Brown. We'll talk a bit more about them later. But then the final player we got to talk about is Marcus Smart. Marcus Smart went from last year and the year before, he shot a lot. He didn't score a lot. He was abysmal offensively. He was always good defensively. But this year, he hit another level defensively. Obviously, he won the Defensive Player of the Year. And offensively, he's become a steady scorer. He's not a Jayson Tatum or someone like that level scorer. But he's a solid scorer. He can get you buckets when you need him. He attacks. When he's being guarded by Steph Curry this series, he's taking it hard to the rim because he knows he's bigger and he's stronger than him. And when he's guarding Steph Curry has been, I don't have the exact statistics, but he has been much worse when being guarded by Marcus Smart. And that's not the only reason, but also that is one of the reasons why they need so many screens every possession. Make sure that Rob Williams or Al Horford gets on Curry. And to stop that, Horford and Williams need to stay up on the screens. They can't drop. Because if Curry gets this much separation, like 2 inches, he's firing it up and he's going to make it. So you got to stay up there. If he gets by you, he gets by you, is what it is, 2 points. He's going to make that 3 if you drop down on the screen. And then, we can talk about Jaylen Brown. Last series, Jaylen Brown was not very good. He had scoring. He had one 40-point game. But he struggled turning the ball over. And then this series, he's still been turning over a bit, but much less. He's been cutting down on it. And when we need baskets, he's been getting baskets. He had 17 points in the first quarter in Game 3. He didn't do much after that, but those 17 points really put us ahead, and we stayed there. So he's been huge. And then Jayson Tatum. Jayson Tatum, who by all means hasn't had an amazing postseason. He's had a very good postseason. But efficiency-wise and everything, he's been turning the ball over a lot, and he hasn't been making as many shots as you would expect him to. But he's still been amazing. And my favorite game so far this postseason, besides obviously his 47, I think, point game against Milwaukee, was his last game. Because he cut down a bit on the turnovers. He made the shots he needed to. He took smart shots. He still passed the ball. And when he doesn't complain to the refs as much, he's much better. Because he gets back on defense. He runs the floor. And last game he was finishing. Usually he goes up looking for contact. Said he looked up looking to get a bucket at the rim. And he's playing great. And I think we're going to see him in the finals for years to come.
So, obviously this final is shaping up to be a classic. And most people, yourself included, feel it's going to go 7. As far as what you've been seeing right now regarding finals, what do you feel Golden State is trying to exploit against Boston, and what do you feel that Boston is trying to exploit against Golden State?
So Golden State, most of their offense is coming from the Draymond Green, Steph Curry pick and roll. If they drop, Curry's going to shoot it. If they don't drop, he's going to drive, try to make a pass. But the thing that the Warriors are struggling with is they live or die by the three-pointer. They only shoot threes. Probably 90% of their scoring comes to the three-point line. And when you're hitting, that's great. When you're not hitting, they go on stretches where they're not hitting, and then that's when the Celtics really succeed. The Celtics are bigger than them. They're stronger than them. And right now, they're bullying them in the paint. Tatum's taking it hard. Brown's taking it hard. Rob and Al, they're getting boards, offensive rebounds, and even Smart's finishing at the rim, and they really can't compete with our size.
Is there anything that you'd like to see the Celtics do different against the pick and roll? Or do you like the way they're defending it right now?
I think sometimes they go 50-50. Some possessions they do the right thing and get up on Curry. Don't give him any separation because don't let him beat you. Let Wiggins, let even Clay, let Draymond, let Kevon Looney, let anyone else beat you besides Steph Curry. And then some possessions they're still dropping, and Steph Curry's shooting the three. He's making it most times. Sometimes he misses it, obviously, but I think you just got to stay up, make sure Steph Curry doesn't get that open three.
Gotcha. And then what do you think vice versa? What do you think the Warriors are trying to take advantage of regarding the Celtics?
Well, I like what they did in Game 2. They were very physical, and they really brought in intensity, which I might have been very mad at the refs because it was a bit intense when Draymond Green's trying to pull someone's pants down. But they were bringing the intensity. In the last game, they just kind of came out flat. I think in the fast break, they can beat the Celtics. And I think they got to use their shooting almost to an advantage. They're how undersized they are. They can use that to an advantage. Where on some end of the court, you're going to have a mismatch of a bigger guy on one of your small guards.
Right. Now, this is a two-part question. So you need to put your coaching hat on for part 1 and your GM hat on for part 2. First question. If you were right now playing against the Celtics, I know it's tough to imagine, how would you, coaching the Warriors, attack the Celtics? How do you feel the Warriors can beat the Celtics? And then second, now you are the Celtics GM. Good GM is always looking ahead. Where do you feel Boston needs to address? What areas going into next season?
So how I think the Warriors can beat the Celtics is their strength is the three-point shot. And I'm not saying don't shoot threes, but you need to get some stuff in the paint. You got to get to the free throw line, and you want to get the Celtics in foul trouble. Because if one of their key players can't be on the court for a lot of time, that's when you can exploit them. Because off the bench, Derek White and Peyton Pritchard and Grant Williams all are great defenders. They're all good offensive players. But you'd much rather have them in the game than, say, Tatum or Brown or Marcus Smart. So if you can keep them on the bench for a bit longer than they would usually be if they weren't in foul trouble, that's probably good. And then for the GM part, there's not much the Celtics have to do. Obviously, the Bucks are going to come back at full strength next year with Chris Middleton. A bunch of teams are probably going to look to push for the title. I think all we need to do is bring back everybody we had on this team. I don't think anyone from this team is going to be a free agent, anyone important. Don't blow it up, obviously. I don't know why you would, at this point, look at it like a Jaylen Brown trade. Even if you're trying to get someone like Dame Lillard, I wouldn't trade Brown for him right now. I'm not sure about it.
Do you feel that Brown's stock has gone up trade value-wise?
I think 100%, but I think that means we shouldn't trade him. A lot of people are seeing now that he is not a number 2 option. Mm-hmm. He's a number 1 option playing number 2 on this team.
Right.
So, and I think he's fine with that. I don't think he's going to want out. This team's great. He plays amazing defense on the fast break. You watch the games, and it's like a 2-on-1 or just a 1-on-1 on the fast break where they have a step on him. He sent multiple people packing at the rim on the fast break. He plays great D on the fast break. And I think the only thing we really could do is bring in, he doesn't even have to be like a great player, but one more guy off the bench who can really contribute. Because you look, we got our 8 who are playing right now. I don't like Daniel Tice playing, so I don't think he should play next year. Then you could bring in one more guy, and then for the regular season, maybe like Aaron Nesmith or someone like that could get minutes. But like one guy who in the playoffs off the bench could make an impact.
All right, well now I'm going to open the floor up to you. This is your moment for your Jayson Tatum flex. So make the case to me that where does Jayson Tatum fall in the NBA elite right now?
So personally, and this is a bit bold, but I have Jayson Tatum as a top 6 player in the NBA. I have him at number 6,
okay,
if I were to rank them. And I have a bunch of players here who I'm going to ask you who you would take Tatum or that player. Also, I forgot to shout out Ime Udoka. First-year coach, struggled partway. They were struggling through at about the halfway point. Then he got them to buy in. He shifted the energy. And now he's coaching a team potentially to a championship in his first year. But now we'll get to Jayson Tatum. So, would you take Jayson Tatum or Jimmy Butler? And just who's better?
Tatum.
Yeah. Tatum or Paul George?
Tatum.
Tatum or Donovan Mitchell?
I like Tatum.
Yeah. I like that. Tatum or Anthony Davis? This is where it gets a bit harder.
I like Tatum.
I like Tatum also just because Davis can't stay healthy.
Yep.
Tatum or Harden?
I like Tatum.
Yep. Tatum or Trae Young?
Are we drafting for the future right now?
Or just who's the better player? Like right now, who is the better player?
I think I like Tatum.
I do too. Trae doesn't play defense. Tatum or Booker?
I'm still going with Tatum.
Tatum or CP3?
Tatum.
Yeah.
No CP3, rings. I'm sorry. Just you don't reach to find. You don't win with CP3s on your team. That's just you don't.
Now we got into the top 10. Tatum versus Dame. This isn't in any order, by the way. The players I'm asking. It's just I wrote them down.
Tatum.
Tatum versus Ja. It's tough. This is tough.
Tatum.
I like that. Tatum or Luka?
Luka.
I agree. This is the first one where I'm not taking Jayson Tatum.
Yeah.
Luka's just so good, and he was so good in the playoffs.
Yep.
I think Tatum next year might be better than Luka.
Mm-hmm.
And that's not a fact. I'm not predicting that. In the future, he could be better than Luka, but right now, Luka's a bit better.
I agree.
Tatum or LeBron? Don't be biased here. Don't think about what LeBron's done before. Right now.
He's still LeBron, man. I have to say LeBron.
I'm taking Tatum.
All right. I can't
close.
argue with it, but I'm feeling like LeBron has. If I'm having one of those guys go out right now and play me a Game 7, I'm still probably taking LeBron.
Yeah, I agree with you.
Yeah.
No, I do not agree with you.
I know what you're saying.
But I see what you mean. Yeah. I'm not mad that you took LeBron.
Yes. It is close, and if we were talking about just
tough.
a draft, like starting a franchise right now,
you take Tatum
hands down. Hands down.
I think also LeBron's health is a bit more of a concern than Tatum.
Exactly.
But I would take Tatum. Tatum versus Kawhi Leonard.
Kawhi.
I'm also taking Kawhi.
Yeah. I like Kawhi. He's done it in the clutch.
At one point, I said Kawhi is the best player in the NBA when healthy. Mm-hmm. I don't think that anymore, but he's so good.
Yeah.
Hopefully he reminds us next year how good he is. So actually, I might have Tatum at 7 because I didn't account for Kawhi. Tatum versus Kevin Durant.
I like Tatum. I mean,
I'm
KD's a beast, but has serious durability issues.
I'm also taking Tatum. He beat him in the playoffs.
Yeah.
Not only did he beat him, he outplayed him by a good margin. Tatum versus Jokic. Jokic, yeah. I think Jokic is kind of overrated. He didn't deserve the MVP this year, personally. I'm not a Jokic hater, but I understand Michael Porter Jr. and Jamal Murray were healthy, but he was the 6th seed. He lost in the first round. And personally, I just think Embiid had a better year.
Hot take, though. Make the case. Where do you feel that Jokic's game is overrated? What aspects of his game?
I don't think any aspects of his game is overrated, but his overall talent is overrated.
Gotcha. His overall ranking.
And if I would say an aspect, like his passing, because a good reason why people say he's so good is he's a great passer. And he is a great passer. He's not as good of a passer as Luka. He's not Chris Paul passing the ball.
True.
But he's a great player. Obviously, he's better than Tatum. He's top 5, but I don't think he deserved the MVP. And people are saying like he's the best player in the league. He's not.
Who was your MVP this year?
I had Embiid. I would have voted for Embiid. His team was better. He just statistically had the more dominating season. And watching the games, even Embiid in the playoffs, he had like 6 different injuries. He went out and he didn't play great, but he played solid basketball. Tried to will his team to win. It was close. I would take Embiid. I might have had Giannis second, Jokic third. Then we got. Speaking of him, Tatum versus Embiid. I'm also taking Embiid. Tatum versus Curry. It's close. Washington series is close. I am also taking Curry. Yeah. Curry is electric.
Yes.
The narrative of Curry is, right when I said that Steph Curry's the 7th best player of all time. He went on this ridiculous cold streak.
Yes.
But then people kept
that was our last podcast.
People kept the narrative that he was insanely cold. And he wasn't great, but he got back on track, and obviously right now he's playing amazing in the playoffs.
Right.
Here's the last one. It's pretty easy. Tatum versus Giannis.
Oh, Giannis.
Yeah. So, but we agreed that Tatum's like a top 7-8 player.
100%. I mean, that's like I said, before the season started, you were beating the Tatum drum. And I think he definitely, this year, opened up a lot of eyes to let people know that he is an elite player and somebody that can carry his team. Now, I mean, you get to sit here and wear a Celtics jersey and, a Patriots fan and get to talk a lot about your teams in the finals. I apologize for the fact that Boston isn't giving you a ton. The Red Sox aren't giving you a ton to talk about right now.
Playing better recently, though.
And what do you say we transition over into baseball? Give me your thoughts currently on how the Major League season is looking to you. Your Red Sox, and then you are going to do a very interesting Mets and Yankees breakdown, which makes me excited as a Mets fan, unless I'm going to hear how much better the Yankees are than the Mets. But
personally, I'm a big baseball fan. If I do watch baseball, I love baseball. I love playing baseball. The MLB, though, it's not as fun to watch as it was even last year. And not to go back to the juice balls, but we want to see dingers. Like Garrett Cole. Maybe they bring back the juice balls because he got rocked last night. It was great.
It's about time.
And then the Yankees are playing amazing.
Yeah.
The Mets are playing very good considering their 2 best pitchers are injured. My favorite player, Mookie Betts, is playing great. Yep. And the Red Sox started slow, but they're in the wild card race. I think if they make it there, if they add someone at the trade deadline, I think they could compete. But we're not here to talk about the Red Sox. The Yankees versus Mets. We're going position by position and who I think is better. I wish I could say this is not biased. I did my best to make it not biased. I also hate the Yankees, so. So starting pitcher 1, we got DeGrom versus Cole. Who are you taking?
DeGrom.
I'm also taking
when healthy.
DeGrom.
Yeah.
I think he's noticeably better than Cole.
Hands
he's
down.
The best pitcher in baseball by a large margin when he's healthy.
And I mean, if you even put Scherzer up against Cole, I like Scherzer.
And then we got Scherzer versus Severino.
Yeah.
Give me Scherzer.
Exactly.
And then we have Chris Bassett, who's been pitching really good, versus Nestor Cortez, who's also been pitching really good.
Nestor.
I had it as a draw.
Yeah.
I couldn't pick. I mean, Bassett's the more established guy, but Nestor's pitching so great right now.
Pitching really well.
I had to leave it at a draw. Then we got Carrasco versus Jordan Montgomery. I also left this one at a draw.
Yeah, it's push.
I mean, neither one were really
nobody's lights out
sticking out to me. And then we got how do you say his name? Taijuan Walker?
Yep.
Versus Jameson Taillon. I took Taillon.
Okay.
He's pitching better this year. Neither of them are that established, so I'll just take who's pitching better this year. Then we got the relievers. So the setup guys, I'm taking the Yankees.
Yankees, they got a great bullpen right now.
They do have a good bullpen, and that's probably where the Mets could improve the most in their bullpen. And then closer, it's closer than you'd think.
Because Chapman has not been playing well.
Yeah, but I'm still taking Chapman.
Yeah.
Because Diaz has only blown a few saves. Chapman has blown none all year. So when Chapman comes in, while he has been giving up a few too many runs, he's coming out with it. So I'm taking Chapman.
All right.
And then we got catcher. McCann versus Higashioka. It's a draw because they both are terrible. Both of them are hitting in the hundreds.
Neither's hitting their weight. It's absolutely true.
McCann's injured right now, but he's hitting in the hundreds. It doesn't matter. Yeah. They're both terrible. First base, Alonso versus Rizzo. I'm taking Alonso. Alonso's playing great, and he's the better player. Rizzo has 14 Mickey Mouse home runs with the 250-foot fence in Yankee Stadium.
Is it even 250 feet? Holy cow, man. It even seems shorter than that.
Then at second, we have McNeil versus LeMahieu. While McNeil might be playing a bit better this year, I also had this one as a draw because LeMahieu's been so good in the past few years with the Yankees. It's a draw. Then at third, we got Escobar versus Donaldson. I took Escobar.
Okay.
He hit for the cycle the other night. I think he's better. Donaldson's playing atrocious.
True.
So, then at short, this might be the most lopsided out of anyone. Lindor versus Isaiah Kiner-Falefa.
We're going. I mean, especially if we're looking at pay grade, too. It better be Lindor.
Yeah, I'm taking Lindor by a large margin. Also, Gleyber Torres isn't here because he doesn't start. He doesn't have like a solidified starting position, but when someone's like taking an off day, he'll go in.
Yep.
So he's not on here, but I didn't forget.
I don't think it'd make a difference.
Yeah. Then in left, I went by the MLB depth charts here, so the outfields might not be in the technically right position because it's like Marte's in right, which is I don't know if he switches off, I believe. So in left, I'm taking Cano over Gallo.
Okay.
Cano, he's a good player. He's not great. He's a very, very good player. And Gallo's kind of struggling this year. Yankees fans are like, get rid of Gallo and Hicks.
That's the guy.
They can't be happy with winning, so they need to blame it on two players. Also, their manager's terrible. I'm not. Then in center, I'm taking Nimmo over Hicks.
Okay.
I like Brandon Nimmo. I'm a fan. And Hicks is terrible.
Yeah, well, Yankee fans definitely can't complain about that.
And they're paying Hicks a good amount of money, I believe, to be bad. And then in right, we have Marte, who's a very good player, but he's not Aaron Judge. Aaron Judge. Aaron Judge is the best player in this whole thing.
Yep.
He's
best
great when healthy, and he seems like he's staying healthy so far this year.
Yeah, man's playing for a contract.
And, I hate the Yankees, but I do hope Judge stays healthy. Can't really wish injury on anyone.
Yep.
So I hope Judge stays healthy. He's going to hit like 60 home runs. He takes right. Then at DH, we have J.D. Davis versus Giancarlo Stanton. It's a real tough one, but I think I'm taking Stanton in this one.
Yeah.
Stanton's, I think, significantly better than J.D. Davis. And then if you add it up, each draw is 1 point for each team. According to this, the Mets have 11, and the Yankees have 9. So the Mets technically are better than the Yankees, which you love to see.
I love your analysis here. The bigger issue is that some of those points, probably for the Yankees, like you mentioned before, they have, when you talk about Stanton and when you're talking about Judge,
and the bullpen.
And the bullpen, and then, you got some of those, like, even if we look at, like, Alonso and Rizzo, I personally like Alonso a lot better, but Rizzo statistically is still in the top, 10, or just fell outside the top 10 in home runs recently. So even those neck-and-neck ones, the Yankees have, you can't argue with a .719 winning percentage, and, the Mets right now are sitting at third in the league with their winning percentage, which is .644, and they're only a couple points behind the Dodgers, who I think are sitting at .649. So the National League is really close. With just a quick little, kind of button on our baseball conversation here, which teams right now do you think are poised to kind of make that post All-Star break push? Like anybody right now that you think is starting to move in the right direction and is looking like they could make a nice run down the stretch, the second half of the season?
There's one team who is going in the wrong direction. They are the caboose of the train that got disconnected and is rolling down the hill. And that's the Angels. And while the Angels just fired Joe Madden, which I disagree with, I think Joe Madden's a good manager, but you got to blame it on someone, I guess. They have Mike Trout, Shohei Ohtani. Shohei Ohtani's pitching great this year, personally. Yeah. He torched the Red Sox last night. And while Trout is struggling and Shohei Ohtani is criminally overrated, Actually, I gotta clarify that before. I can't just keep going with that like the Cooper Cup thing. Shohei Ohtani's a great player. He is slightly overrated.
That will haunt you.
Every home run he hits is replayed like 17 times. So I think with that star power, and I think they should try to contend because you only have Mike Trout at the top of his game for so long, even though he's not on the top of his game right now. But I think he'll shake it off, start hitting again, and I think they're going to push into the wild card game where they will face the Red Sox. They'll lose to the Red Sox, but they'll make it there.
I mean, you really can't. I mean, look, they're sitting second in the AL West at 28-31. And if you're talking about having basically a 14-game losing streak, 1-9 in your last 10, and you're still only a couple games below 500 and 9 games behind the Astros, heading, we still got a couple weeks to get to the All-Star break as well. Yeah, I agree. That's plenty of time for a team to get right. 9 games by any stretch is not some insurmountable, number. What about the AL Central? We got the Twins sitting in first with a .559 winning percentage. We got the Guardians right behind them, 27-26, basically 500. What do you think of the White Sox right now? White Sox are third, and they're sitting with a winning percentage of .473 at 26-29. I feel like I definitely expected more out of the White Sox coming in. So what do you feel about the White Sox right now and the state of the AL Central?
Going into this year, I think I had the White Sox winning the AL. So it's definitely a bit shocking. They've been hit kind of hard by injuries, and the Twins are playing great. Byron Buxton is playing great. He hit 2 home runs off Garrett Cole yesterday. Yep. So I think the Twins, if Byron Buxton stays healthy, keep the number 1 spot. I don't think the Guardians are talented enough to stay ahead of the White Sox. Once the White Sox are healthy, I think they'll definitely make a push to pass the Twins. I think they might miss the playoffs, though, just for the sole reason that their players can't stay healthy.
Yeah, Guardians been playing well. They're 8-2 in their last 10 with a .509 winning percentage of 27-26. But you're right. They're sitting right now 8-2 in their last 10, and that just got them over the 500 hump. So whether or not they can, keep building on that, or even basically keep pushing and keep the White Sox at bay, we'll see. As far as the National League goes, Phillies also fired a manager. What are your thoughts on Gerardi getting let go? They're 7-3 in their last 10, .491 winning percentage, and their overall record right now is 28-29.
Joe Girardi is not a good manager. He wasn't for the Yankees. I don't believe. I didn't like him.
They were my World Series pick.
And he wasn't good for this Phillies team. But also, I think the GM of this team, Dave Dombrowski, former Red Sox GM, also, he built a great lineup. But defensively, this team is not very good. You got Castellanos and Schwarber in the outfield, who, oh my gosh, that's a train wreck. Neither of them can really even catch the ball. Like, I might as well be out there. And then you got Alec Baum, who cannot play defense. Yep. And then you look at, it's literally Bryce Harper right now. He's single-handedly carrying this team. Bryce Harper is playing amazing. He is maybe the best player in baseball. He won the MVP last year, and he just keeps going. He can't be stopped. He's going to be on the Phillies for over 10 more years. So they definitely got some time. And I don't know if this year it'll be it. They maybe need to add some defense. But I think they'll be fine. Yeah. I think they have too many good hitters to struggle for this long, and I think maybe they won't make the playoffs, but they'll definitely end up being close.
And I mean, the NL Central right now, NL Central is an absolute snooze fest. I mean, you have the Brewers at the top at 33-26. They are 2-8 in their last 10. The Cardinals behind them at 32-26, 5-5. Pirates 24-31, 5-5 in their last 10. Cubs 23-33, 4-6 in their last 10. Reds 20-37, 4-6 in their last 10. So nobody is establishing themselves in the NL Central. What are your thoughts on the Central? Who do you like?
So, looking at these teams on paper, as good as the Brewers pitching is, there should be a division that the Cardinals win without that much fight from the Brewers. The Cardinals are the better team. I don't know if they'll end up winning it. And because of how good the Brewers pitching is, I'm going to take the Brewers to win the Central.
All right.
Is that the third straight year in the most boring division of all time.
Yeah, you know what? They kind of become the forgotten about the division. In the NL West, we got the Dodgers, who are sitting second in Major League Baseball with the 649 winning percentage. But they're still, they're 4-6 in their last 10. The Mets, the Mets went toe to toe with them. Padres right behind them with a 614 winning percentage, 5-5 in their last 10. You have the Giants behind them with a 536 winning percentage, 5-5 also. The Diamondbacks at a 475, 5-5 in the last 10, and the Rockies, bringing up the rear with a 439 winning percentage, 4-6 in their last 10. So right now, the NL West has kind of cooled off a bit too. Everybody's kind of in their last 10 playing 500 baseball. Do you really see anybody truly challenging the Dodgers, or do you think this is the Dodgers, going away?
As much as I think the Dodgers are good, I'm a big Freddie Freeman guy. I love Mookie Betts. They have good pitching. They got Trey Turner. I think once Fernando Tatis comes back, the Padres are going to go on a crazy run, and I think they're going to win the division. You got Manny Machado playing great right now, and they're staying, as I said, they're staying afloat. They're playing good baseball without their best player. If he can come back and stay healthy and play at the level we know he can play at, I think they beat the Dodgers. This is where I throw the gauntlet down now. If they don't, I am done hearing about Tatis. This would be year 2 now. They stole all the buzz going into last year. Everybody thought, oh, this is going to be the team, something to watch. Complete disappointment. Have their excuses. Head into this year. Again, they're everybody's, hey man, watch, the underdog team. Padres this is going to be the year they put it together. If they don't do it now, I am off that. I am officially off this Tatis bandwagon. And they're going to have to go to approve it and win me over before I start, putting them in the conversation of being an elite, not only elite NL team, but an elite Major League Baseball club across both conferences. But with that said, we now get to go to one of my favorite topics and what we are going to close our show out with today, and that is a little NFL, mainly fantasy football. NFL draft is in the books, and we are getting ready to go into fantasy football season. Our RMC draft is at the end of August. It is never too early to start talking fantasy football. And for all those out there that are listening to us, we are going to use our basic draft rounds as a template for where we're discussing players are going. And in our league, we have a 14-team league. So I kind of want to throw some players out there at you. I want to talk a little bit preliminary strategy. So before we get into specific players, looking at the fantasy landscape heading into this upcoming year, where we know the players left off last year, who's injured, who isn't, who has a new home, who doesn't, who's still looking for a home, who came out of nowhere, who are showing signs of decline. What is going to be your overall philosophy heading into this year's fantasy draft? What do you think, compared to going into last year's draft, do you see changing about the way you approach the draft this year? Well, one mistake I made last year is my first round pick was Travis Kelce.
Okay.
I'm not doing that again. I think the tight end position, while still not super deep, is a bit more deep. You can still go to the top player. Taking them before the 4th round, I don't really like, personally, just because of other positions of need. Quarterback. There's obviously your Josh Allens, Justin Herberts, Patrick Mahomes, who are going to go pretty high, even though Patrick Mahomes is kind of falling. And those guys are great if you can get them, and you think you can still fill in your other positions. That's good. I think the best strategy would be to wait not super long, but wait until like the 7th round. There's still great quarterbacks, like Aaron Rodgers might still be there. There's great quarterbacks you can pick up then who would be just as good. And my personal strategy, most likely, we'll see how it goes, is I think with your first 2 picks, you should probably take 1 running back and 1 receiver. Okay. Unless one player like really follows the same position you already took. Because running back is not deep. There's a bunch of running backs you can take who could maybe be your second running back. There's only a few guys you would be confident being your top running back. So I think you need to take one of those, probably with your first pick. I think what we're going to see happening this year, I think the trend is going to be
that people are going to let running backs fall, and we're going to see all the stud receivers and stud tight ends, teams stockpile those. Where prior to this, the old, we'll call it the old school philosophy was grab your running backs early. I think the position that we're going to see slide back dramatically this year is the RB2. I think people are going to wait, and they're going to go after. We're going to see guys like Jefferson, Chase, Kupp launch up the draft board, and we're going to see those RB2 candidates slide. I think people are going to try to find value, maybe even play the waivers, or do RB2 by committee, or wait and see. Draft a few guys at the end and see who pans out. But I think that we're gonna see receivers and tight ends, go in bulk. I mean, there's always a handful of these elite guys that would go the first round, or second round, or go earlier than the rest of the pack, and then you start to see the rest of the pack start to move, and that's where you'd have your runs on different positions go. So you got to play your Jayson Tatum game with me. I want to play a little game with you.
All right.
This is going to be called over-under, okay?
Okay.
I'm going to give you a fringe number. So, for example, in our league, position and draft slot 14 would be basically the last pick, the back-end pick of the first round. Mm-hmm. I'm going to throw a couple players at you, and you're going to tell me if they should go before 14, if you take them before 14, or if they are an after 14 pick.
Is this if I would take them or if they will get taken?
Let's go with your opinion on the player.
All right.
Okay. Let's start first. Alvin Kamara.
14 is an interesting spot. I think I like him around 14, but I would say under. I would take him after 14.
Okay, so you're going to take him after 14.
Yeah, like 16.
Okay. Travis Kelce.
Under.
Under 14.
I'm not taking Travis Kelce at 14. I wouldn't take Travis Kelce in the second round, personally. Just because that's just me. He burned me last year. He wasn't bad last year, but I thought he was going to be great, and he was extremely mediocre.
So Travis Kelce is not a first-round pick?
No.
Okay. How about Davante Adams?
It's interesting. New scheme, everything. I would take him over 14. In the later end of the first round, but still before 14.
Okay, so I'm going to tell you now. I'm going to read some players. You tell me who you were drafting Davante Adams over. So these are some players that are projected to go in the first round. Obviously, Jonathan Taylor, I'm going to assume you say no.
I would take Jonathan Taylor.
Derrick Henry.
Henry.
McCaffrey.
It's tougher than you think, but I would take Davante Adams over Christian McCaffrey.
That's a hot take.
Personally.
Okay, I like it.
He doesn't stay healthy.
Hot take. Austin Eckler.
I'm taking Eckler.
Cook.
Cook.
Mixon.
Mixon.
Harris.
Harris.
Chubb.
Chubb.
Kupp.
Kupp.
Chase.
I would take Davante Adams.
That's a hot take. I like it. Jefferson.
Jefferson.
Okay. People put Kelce. We know your thoughts on that. Debo.
I would take Davante, but I like Debo.
Okay. Now let's move to what would be the back end of the second round. So we are talking about pick number 28. Would you take the player I'm going to name before the 28th pick or after the 28th pick? Josh Allen.
It kind of goes against what I just said before.
Okay, so
Josh Allen is that good.
Is a second round.
Yeah, late second round, but he's a second round pick.
Okay. How about Saquon Barkley?
I'm going to say after. I think Saquon Barkley is a very interesting player this year, just because from what I've seen, he seems to go about the third round.
Okay.
And in the third round, he's very interesting because he can be a first-round talent.
Okay.
But he could be not even get drafted because he doesn't play. So,
okay,
it's very interesting. I would say take him in the third round. I don't mind. I wouldn't take him in the second round.
How about this one? I'm curious, very curious about your response to this one. Tyreek Hill.
I'm taking him before.
We're taking Tyreek.
I'm a Tua guy. You know I like Tua. I can't really talk that much because I'm not a Dolphins fan. He's not great, but he's not as bad as some people say he is. Tyreek, he fits decently in that offense because they have another receiver to take a bit of pressure off him. And at the end of the day, he's still Tyreek Hill.
Okay. So if we were taking Tyreek Hill in the second round, you'd feel comfortable making Tyreek Hill your second round pick?
Yeah. Well,
your wide receiver 1 overall.
Yes.
Okay.
If I got a running back in the first round.
Okay. Last one for this, then we move down one more round. Let's go with Kyle Pitts.
I'm not taking him in the second round.
Okay.
I like Kyle Pitts. He didn't score. He scored 1 touchdown last year.
Yeah.
And that's a bit worrisome, but he's a great talent. I just don't think especially since he's a tight end, he's not second round worthy yet.
Okay. So now we'll do 2 more rounds. So now we're gonna go down to 42. Pick 42. Would we take this player before or after the 42nd pick? Basically implying they are a 3rd round pick. So somebody's 3rd pick overall. Jalen Waddle.
I would say before. I think he's only slightly before, but I think he's a 3rd round pick.
Okay. Here's an interesting one. George Kittle.
After. I wouldn't be comfortable taking him as my 3rd pick. I think the only 2 tight ends I would even consider taking in the 3rd round is Kelsey would definitely be gone, but Kelsey or Andrews. After that, I feel like there's a significant drop off where people like Kittle and Waller and Pitts are all talented, but they're definitely not 3rd round talent.
Yeah, and the issue with Kittle is you just cannot trust his durability. He plays hard, inspires his teammates, but he misses a lot of games. And for your 3rd round player, you need some durability. Here's one I find interesting for a couple reasons. 1, given the draft strategy we just talked about. 2, coming off injury. J.K. Dobbins. If he's on the board in the 3rd round,
with the last pick in
with
the
your
third
if you were picking at the back end of the 3rd round, and J.K. Dobbins is sitting there, are you taking him?
This is really hard to decide. It depends who else is there.
Let's say I'm gonna give you a choice. Let's say you got J.K. Dobbins sitting there, Deontay Johnson, and DJ Moore.
I'm taking DJ Moore over those 3. Then probably J.K. Dobbins, then Deontay Johnson.
No concerns of who's throwing to DJ Moore.
No concerns.
Okay. All right. Here's one. Last one I'll ask you about this one. Breece Hall and Elijah Mitchell. So Breece Hall,
for the
recently
3rd
drafted
round?
running back for the Jets, and Elijah Mitchell, San Fran. Sitting, if they are on the board at the back end, you're picking 42. Either one of those is sitting there.
I'm not taking Breece Hall just because I can't be sure with what he's going to do as a rookie running back.
Mm-hmm.
He might Trey Sermon me, like Trey Sermon did last year. And I like Eli Mitchell as a pick, as like a later running back too. But I don't like him in that pick just because of how the Niners play their offense, where it's a running back by committee, no matter really who their running back is. And especially with Trey Lance becoming the quarterback, a few more designed quarterback rushes.
Mm-hmm.
I think that might take a few away from Eli Mitchell, so I'm going to take him after.
Okay.
Both after.
So now we are sitting around pick 56. And for a little bit of context, pick 56, you'd be looking at wide receiver 23 to 30. In that ballpark, probably RB 24 through 30 in there. QB, depending on the draft, you could be at QB 4. So we haven't really gotten our runs on QBs. Tight ends, you're probably around 5 to 7 in that ballpark. So we are sitting at pick 56. You are on the clock at 56. And Marquise Hollywood Brown is on the board. Are we taking Marquise Brown with that pick, or are we going in another direction?
There's no shot I'm picking with that pick. I don't know why people keep drafting and thinking Hollywood Brown is so good, because he hasn't really proven anything to me. He doesn't have hands. He can't catch. And while he has the speed, he hasn't put it together consistently enough for me where I would be comfortable taking him here.
Okay. Here's another one. We're sitting at 56. We have Lamar Jackson, Darnell Mooney, and Travis Etienne on the board. Which one are we grabbing, and which 2 are we letting slide into the 5th round?
I'm going to start by eliminating Lamar, just because I had Lamar last year, and his health is obviously a concern. When he played, he's unbelievably inconsistent, kind of underwhelming. I'm not taking Lamar.
Okay.
Who are the other 2?
We're going to talk about Darnell Mooney and Travis Etienne. So Mooney, we got wide receiver, probably wide receiver 24.
Yeah.
out of Chicago. And then we're talking about ETN, who hasn't taken an NFL snap, but is being slotted around RB25.
I think ETN is very interesting. And ETN could definitely, by the end of the season, be going into next year a first or second round talent. Because he's going to have a bunch of carries with James Robinson injured. That offense obviously isn't going to be trying to win that many games. The only thing I'm worried about is they're going to be behind. So are they really going to be running the ball that much? And also, obviously, injuries. He had a serious injury before he even played a snap. So for that reason, I'm going to take Mooney, just because Mooney has done it before. I know probably about what you're going to get from Mooney. I don't think Mooney has the ability to jump up as much as ETN, just strictly because he's on the Bears. And I think Justin Fields might not take the jump this year. So that might be a bit worrisome. I'm still taking Mooney. I think he's going to be a solid guy.
Okay. All right. Well, I mean, I feel like we're going to have a lot of fun between now and the official kickoff of fantasy football draft season with breaking these down in all sorts of different ways. Today was a great start for us, kind of talking a little bit about strategy, and then also our little bit of over and under, which we will absolutely revisit. Well, my friend, we had another very, very productive show. A lot of good hot takes. I wish the Celtics tonight. What's our prediction for tonight's game?
I think the Warriors, unfortunately, win a very close one tonight, but Celtics win the series in 7 in Golden State.
All right, you heard it here first. Celtics bring home the title in Golden State. All right, everybody, until next time, this is Zach and EJ. Drum roll, please. We will see you next time.